All right, guys, welcome into my first official transfer portal update video. I want to start doing these because there's just so much crap with the transfer portal and kids entering it. Every day we're getting waves and waves of kids that enter it, and I recently read an article on the transfer portal in 2023. It's supposed to be even crazier, even more of a mess than 2022 with kids transferring. So we're just going to kind of maybe, every third or fourth day I'll put out a video, or once a week or something, of kind of the latest big names to hit the portal, where I think they could go and things like that. So this is just today. Right now it's like 2 o'clock as I'm recording this video. I mean, look at all Jimmy Horn Jr., the receiver from South Florida. John Paddock, a QB from Ball State. We got a receiver from A&M, a lower 3-star. I like that it lists, what they were as a recruit. But you guys can see the Iowa's backup quarterback. Iowa's backup quarterback that couldn't beat out Spencer Petras. He's like, dude, I'm out. I'm done with this. But he's entered it. He was a low 3-star. We'll see what happens with him. Thornton, the wide receiver from Oregon. That was a kid, very highly ranked recruit. So very interesting there that he's leaving. I think he caught a few touchdowns this year, if I am correct. He'll be one to watch. He was a top 100 kid, maybe even like a top 60 player in the country. And he's got multiple years of eligibility left, if I do remember correctly. And then these are kind of just a bunch of lower tier guys. You'll get that a lot. That is all today, I believe. That's crazy. Look, we've got a Duke mass exodus. We've got including a pretty highly ranked cornerback, like a top 300 cornerback, a 4-star. That's a pretty good recruit for Duke. And then just taking a look at some other guys, I'll tell you if I see anyone that is really all that crazy. A lot of these guys. There's a kicker from Texas A&M. Guys, a lot of this. There's a interesting quarterback from Ole Miss. I believe this kid was originally committed to Florida State, I want to say, or something like that. He was definitely a kid that had a very good camp, I remember him lighting up some camp, or maybe the Elite 11, and he's transferring from Ole Miss. I have no clue where he's going to go. I don't even want to speculate on that, but their backup quarterback, because I'm guessing they're going to have Jackson Dart next year as well. So Ole Miss should be pretty good, honestly, if they get Lane Kiffin back and stuff like that. Some players from Temple. You're seeing kind of all the teams that missed a bowl. Paul Tyson, a backup quarterback from Arizona State who wasn't getting any playing time. I believe he was first committed to Alabama, or maybe he went to Alabama, transferred to Arizona State, and now he's transferring again. So these kids just go all over the place. Who is this? Campbell University? Is that what that logo is? Oh, UC Davis. A tight end, Castles from Ohio State should get him. Cade McNamara, there was the big one. So Cade McNamara, I've heard Arizona. I've heard a Pac-12 school. I've heard Iowa. I don't know where he's going to go. He's a serviceable quarterback. Is he a program altering Justin Fields type transfer? Not even close. Is he a stable quarterback? Maybe, Nebraska if Casey Thompson leaves. That's been speculated as well. We'll see. He's like a solid game manager with a lot of experience. Certainly he would be welcomed, as a great backup, but I'm sure he doesn't want to be a backup. He's going to go to a place where he is pretty much assured the starting job. And then here's an interesting another quarterback, Davis Brin. I would really recommend, and I tweeted this out, I would really recommend Ryan Day take a look at this kid. He was pretty good at Tulsa. He would be a great backup quarterback. Of course, the kid might want to go somewhere to start, but it's a situation where you could say, listen, you could be the backup. If you get an injury, you're playing with Marvin Harrison Jr., you're playing with Emeka Egbuka, crazy players. You might be able to get him that way. I would, if I'm Ryan Day, because you have to figure Ohio State probably going to lose either McCord or Devin Brown, depending on who loses the quarterback battle. You're going to need a veteran quarterback to back up either McCord or Devin Brown. Just some other players. What logo is this? Who is that? Idaho State. Mike York, a one-star tight end transferring from UAB. Clement, I thought that kid was a good recruit. I guess not. or maybe he transferred multiple times. Here's a receiver, a 4-star receiver, Lovett from Missouri, who is transferring. I'm guessing he'll probably be going to a similar type school. Jeff Sims, the Georgia Tech quarterback, solid 4-star recruit, is also transferring. This was kind of the big one with the Luke Fickell announcement that he was leaving. J.Q. Hardaway, who is apparently a stud cornerback. His ranking was only a 4-star, but he was going to be the next Sauce Gardner for Cincinnati. He would be a big get wherever he goes. I would love to see, a bigger time program get him. We will see. There's also rumors that he might just follow Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. We'll see what Luke Fickell does. It'll be really interesting. This Jackson kid, a cornerback from Alabama, he was a JUCO kid, and he's now transferring out of Bama. You'll see a lot of turnover at Bama, at A&M, at these big time schools, Ohio State. Kids just not getting playing time. They see the writing on the wall, and it's really a best case scenario for both parties because it frees up a roster for the coaching staff, and it also gives the chance for a kid to start. This edge rusher, Donnell Harris, kind of an interesting story about this kid. I think he reclassified. He was originally in the 2023 class. He reclassified to 2022. He commits to A&M, and now he's transferring. So there's a story for you. And he was a good recruit. So you could be looking at like a team like Miami try and get in on this kid and use their NIL fund. He goes from one NIL dumpster fire to another. Imagine transferring from Texas A&M to Miami. That'd be crazy. And then Trey Sanders, who's a 5-star running back. Injuries killed Trey Sanders, but I always kind of thought he was a little bit overranked when he ended up committing to Alabama. So it was kind of injuries and performance. Never really able to find his footing at Bama. And that's what happens. Alabama right now has 2 5-star running backs committed in their current class. You see the writing on the wall, and you transfer out. That really is the type of situation that would cause for a top kid to leave. Bunch of lower tier transfers here. But you guys can see it's just the list goes on and on with these kids and the roster turnover that we see. But that's pretty much it, I would say, overall. So, guys, kind of to kick off the 2023 transfer portal window, Cade McNamara transferring, probably the biggest name. Trey Sanders, you can say, we'll see. The other thing I will mention, normally how 247 Sports does it, they end up assigning these guys a new rating. So that is something I'm really looking forward to see who's kind of the top overall player. And so Cade McNamara might go from a 90, you see his high school rating. He might go to like a 92. I think that would be a fair rating for him. And then someone like Paul Tyson would go from an 89 to like a 3-star, you would think, if he can't start at Arizona State. You would think he would transfer to somewhere like UMass. But it's kind of cool how they do that. Let me just go back up here. Like Thornton would probably drop down significantly as well. Not to say he's not talented, but you can see if I go to top, they do have a few guys that do have transfer portal rankings. This kid was a top 100 player, but you can see his new ranking is actually a 3-star because he struggled at Oregon. He couldn't start, I guess. That's why he's transferring out. I remember this quarterback entering the portal for Boise State. I think Boise State had such a weird year. They fired their offensive coordinator and they were terrible, and this kid enters the portal and then suddenly they turn it around. So either way, guys, that is the latest. I might do an update. Guys, so this is really like the lower tier type players that are entering right now. You're not going to see, I'm not going to do this. This is ridiculous. No one's going to do that. You're really seeing the lower tier. We're not going to see anyone like big from Ohio State or Michigan or Georgia or Alabama. They're going to wait a little bit for sure. And then we'll probably get more action. But again, even just today, we've seen a lot of kids enter it. And the transfer portal is certainly, it's not as important as recruiting, but I think you have to use the transfer portal like Nick Saban used it last year. You find elite recruits that are disgruntled with their current situation. You have your team needs, and then you go out and you fill those team needs. That's how you should treat it. That's what you should do. Of course, you also saw a situation with USC where they completely remake their team with 17 kids from the transfer portal: Travis Dye, Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, Mario Williams. I mean, that was a crazy situation, so it can certainly turn around a program. I mean, USC without the transfer portal, they would have 5 or 6 losses. Let's be honest, guys. I mean, Caleb Williams would have to sit a year. Jordan Addison would probably not even be in the portal. And, so it's definitely altered the way things go in terms of college football. That's why these videos and really following the portal is so important. And that's why I wanted to do this. So right now, it's kind of a bunch of lower tier guys that have entered. 5-star running back from Alabama who's been injured, and also Cade McNamara. Obviously, you see the writing on the wall with J.J. McCarthy coming back and being the starting quarterback next year. And then, guys, I figured while I'm on 247, I might as well go through the quick recruiting rankings for 2023. So right now, Alabama. Alabama is in a kind of a weird spot. Nick Saban, there's been rumors, maybe retiring, but guys, look at their class. They've got 5 5-stars. They've got an average score of basically 94. The best average score, 24 commits, 5 5-stars. Georgia's got a really good class. Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman recruiting amazingly. They've got 21 combined 5-star and 4-stars. That's a blue chip ratio. That's amazing. Texas recruiting, really well. Arch Manning, we'll see. Is Arch Manning another Quinn Ewers? I don't know. Not to say Quinn Ewers is terrible, but it's like we really haven't seen the impact. LSU, they're having a very nice time recruiting. Ohio State recruiting, I would say, pretty much to the standard that you would want out of Ryan Day. The 1 5-star is a little disappointing, but listen, if you've got an average of 93.5, you're going to like to see that. That's what you like to see. Oklahoma, they're having a very nice time on the recruiting trail right now. Brett Venables doing a good job, even with the team struggling a little bit. Oklahoma is going to be good. This tells me right here, Oklahoma is able to recruit this well during a down year. Maybe they'll get some decommits. I don't know. We'll see with National Signing Day, but that's good. You've got Florida. They're recruiting well. They've used NIL a lot. Clemson, that's pretty much normally where they are. Well, they've got 23 commits. That's solid. That's good enough to win a national title. Miami, the NIL Kings. Tennessee, maybe a little bit lower in terms of right under 91. Oregon, decent. USC, okay. Penn State recruiting well with just 19 commits, 91.5 score. South Carolina, number 15 right now with 20 commits. If they have a top 20 class, that's big for South Carolina football. Absolutely. Same thing with Arkansas, but they have 23 commits. I think they're going to get bumped down a little bit. Florida State at 16 commits, not a great blue chip ratio. Michigan with 19 commits, more 3-stars than 4-stars. So a lot of people kind of wondering, why is Michigan struggling so much? I saw Jim Harbaugh come out with a statement yesterday saying he doesn't really care about, 5-stars, 4-stars and stuff. He just takes his players. And I was thinking to myself, imagine if he said that like 2 years ago when he was 0-5 against Ohio State. Now everyone's like, yeah, because he keeps beating Ohio State with worse players, you kind of have to accept it if you're a Michigan fan. You're okay taking the 3-stars if you're going to beat Ohio State every year, I'm sure. Louisville doing a nice job. They've used NIL. The 1 5-star that they got, Reuben Owens, is pure NIL. TCU, they've had a nice year, but they're getting mostly 3-stars. Baylor, their class is going to get bumped down. They've got 24 commits. Texas Tech, same thing. North Carolina at 11 commit or at 19 commits. It's okay. A&M's only at 11 commits. I think A&M right now is really biding their time. They have a good average score, but just 11 commits, again, mainly because they're really waiting to break out their NIL checkbook here. I think it's a combination of the boosters trying to understand how much money they actually have to pay to keep the current roster together, because I think there's going to be rumors, and we see Walter Nolan in the portal. Guys, don't be surprised if Walter Nolan goes back to Texas A&M, even though he's in the portal, because I think the boosters will entice him and give him more money to go back to A&M. So A&M's boosters have to see How much do we have to pay to keep our current roster intact? And then how much do we have to pay for the next wave of highly ranked kids? And I think they're going to be less aggressive this year in terms of doing that. We saw, listen, they were all true freshmen, but it was a disaster for A&M. And then you have Iowa, not a great year, although they do have a 5-star offensive tackle who I think visited Oregon, Proctor. I think he's the number 1 overall offensive tackle. Ole Miss, they only have 13 commits, so they're going to move up probably inside the top 20 by the end of it. And that's pretty much it. Michigan State doing a good job. For just 12 commits, Michigan State is out-recruiting what they normally do with Mel Tucker right now. Like, they normally don't average over a 90. So that is some interesting stuff to look at. But guys, that is going to do it for this transfer portal update video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.